As a person who provides online professional development for SLPs, one of the most common things that I'm asked for is print and go activities. And a lot of people ask me if my courses and programs offer things that you can just, take and go the next day. And I really totally understands how much time it can take to plan for sessions. I completely understand why people are asking me for this, but as a person who has also spent a fair amount of time mentoring SLPs, doing professional training, working with adult learners, I know that I can't give them what they want. And that is really hard for me because I just want to make people happy. I want to just give people what they want. But I also, from an ethical standpoint, have to give people what they need in order to be effective and in order to do what's best for their students and clients. So with language therapy specifically, why this is so challenging is that a lot of people want a curriculum, which I totally get. But the thing is that is not going to be customized to your students' needs. Because when we think about things like language and vocabulary, it's so dependent on the context of the community, the students' abilities, what's going on in the curriculum at your specific district. And so if I were to come up with a curriculum that you could just take and go, it wouldn't be relevant for anybody because it would be so rigid and specific. It wouldn't be culturally responsive. It wouldn't be useful for you because you'd have to adjust so much that it would actually take you more work than just not having anything at all. So that's where it's challenging for me. I've actually had a couple colleagues, when I shared a little bit about what I was trying to do with my signature program, Language Therapy Advanced Foundations, they were kind of like, have fun trying to do that, because that's kind of, that's going to be really hard to give people a system for language therapy, because that's not how language works. But what I have been able to do is create a framework that helps narrow things down enough that you can have a system and a set of strategies that you can use so that you can create your own operating procedures, you can create your systems, you have a set of tools that you can use that you know are going to be effective at teaching those underlying language skills that are going to support things like comprehension, that are going to support high-level problem solving, internal self-talk that you need for those day-to-day activities. But at the same time, there's enough flexibility worked into it that you can customize it based on what's going on in the curriculum. Now, the bad news that I don't like telling people, because I know it's what they don't want to hear, is that it does create some work up front for you to learn how to make it your own, relating to whatever the setup is in your own situation. And this is relevant especially if you've got older students, and it's so important for those older students if they do not have those complex syntax skills and those vocabulary skills. It's so important that you build those skills because that is going to affect them later in life. If they don't have those skills to access that internal self-talk so they can engage in that high-level planning, so that they can have access to more advanced academic courses and education if that's what they want to do, it is really important that those older students have that. And I do get a lot of questions about whether or not my course is appropriate for older students, and it absolutely is, but you do have to understand the strategies deeply and understand how you can take it and apply it to some of those curricular materials that they're already using. So the bad news is that I can't give you a curriculum that is going to be something you can just take and use right away. But what I can give you is a framework for understanding how to create your own system, how to use what I've given you and iterate on it so that you can make it your own and understand how you can customize it for your students. And over time, that is going to make you more efficient. It's going to make you more effective. It does require an initial learning curve for you to truly understand how it works. And that's why in my programs, I offer you courses and trainings, but I also offer you access to me, because it is impossible for me to deliver all that information to you in a training I offer follow-up support and Q&A because there are always going to be specific situations that come up where you're going to need support. You're going to be confused about how to implement it for different age levels, whether it is for younger students, early elementary, whether you have a student in high school and you want to figure out how to customize it. There's always going to be those things, and that's why I do offer follow-up support. So if you are an SLP and you want a better system for language therapy, especially if you feel like you are jumping around and you're not quite sure where to start, then definitely check out Language Therapy Advanced Foundations. Again, it is most appropriate for those students who are starting to work on some of those academic things, learning to read, learning to write. It is appropriate for K-12, but it is most appropriate for those students who are ready for that academic work. You can learn how to become a member at drkarenspeech.com/language therapy.